Chapter 15 Alliance. Over the decades, my family and I had gotten used to pretending. Every day, I pretended to be human, acted like a teenager, and feigned interest in subjects I knew more about than most of the teachers. Still, pretending things were normal, that everything wasn't crashing down on us, giving the illusion that we were all just normal seniors enjoying our graduation party, was going to be a very difficult task. As I watched Bella walk up the stairs to my house, a look of sheer determination on her face, I thought about how much pretending she had already done in order to keep the realities of our world a secret. She constantly lied to Charlie, if not outright, then by omission. She played the part as if she were planning on attending college, rather than joining my family in eternity. Now, she was about to walk into what should have been a celebration, but instead would amount to an evening of pretending she wasn't fearing for her life yet again. I wanted to be happy, to help her end this chapter of her life with joy and acceptance, but instead I was plagued with guilt as I stared at her expression. She was straining to put on a mask of normalcy, the way we'd all learned how to over the years. She wasn't even one of us yet, and she already felt the weight of our secrets. "Bella," I whispered, coming up behind her and wrapping my arms around her. She hadn't said a word before my lips were on hers. I was frantic, desperately trying to grant her one moment of happiness, one promise that not everything in the world was a lie. She looked startled when I pulled away, and I was about to kiss her again when she muttered, "Let's get this stupid party over with." I held her face in my hands, not letting her break my gaze. "I won't let anything happen to you, I promise." She smiled, reaching up to touch my lips, and I felt that familiar spark of electricity her skin had always given me. "I'm not worried about myself so much," she said softly. Why am I not surprised by that? She scowled at me slightly, and I took a deep breath, knowing our quiet moment was at an end. It was time for both of us to put on our fake smiles. Together we would get through this evening, and then we would focus on what was coming next. "Ready to celebrate?" She groaned, and I pulled her close, knowing she wasn't going to be happy with the scene Alice had set. If Bella was hoping for subtle, or anything resembling a normal graduation party for that matter, she was about to be very disappointed. While the rest of us still saw an advantage to keeping up appearances, Alice's attitude was that it didn't particularly matter anymore if we blended in, since high school was over and Bella was about to disappear forever. "Unbelievable," Bella said when we walked through the door. I had lived in this house for years, and it was barely recognizable. "Alice will be Alice," I sighed. Having decorated every visible surface of the house, Alice was busying herself by thumbing through a variety of music.
"Wouldn't hurt to bring a little culture to this town. Maybe some of it will stick. Leave my mark after we leave." "Edward," she called, her eyes widely excited at the prospect of playing a more eclectic mix of music than Bella's friends were used to. I rolled my eyes. "I need your advice. Should I give them familiar and comforting, or educate their taste in music?"
"Keep it comforting," I told her. "You can lead a horse to water." Disappointed, she nodded, but I could hear there were a few favorites she was still planning on adding to the mix. I looked at Bella, who was watching Alice with a look I recognized. It was a look that said, "This is too much. I don't deserve this."
"I think I'm underdressed,"
she muttered. I certainly hoped her self-esteem issues would be resolved when she was a vampire. She looked a vision in the blue outfit Alice had given her. "You're perfect."
"You'll do,"
Alice added, and I shot her a warning glare.
"Thanks,"
Bella sighed, then asked,
"Do you really think people will come?"
I knew she wished the whole town would suddenly have better things to do, but Alice had already seen them all deciding this party was a fun way to end an exciting day, and I had heard the curiosity in their minds. "Everyone will come," I told her, her heartbeat speeding up slightly. "They're all dying to see the inside of the reclusive Cullen mystery house." "Fabulous," she groaned. She reluctantly asked Alice if there was anything she could do to help, but of course Alice was in her own little world.
No, you two just finished getting ready,"
she said. Then she was off, somehow managing to find even more unnecessary decorations. She was quietly hoping Bella would put on makeup, or do something different with her hair. I held Bella tightly, hoping she believed me when I assured her that nothing would make her more beautiful, in my eyes, than she already was. Bella stayed by my side while I spoke with Jasper about the new developments in our situation. He sent a gentle wave of calm, for which I was grateful, as we discussed the reality of us having no extra help. "Tanya's just being spiteful," I said, shaking my head. "Don't suppose with a little influence on your part, they might reconsider?" I asked Jasper. "Not unless we let them take out the wolves," he thought silently, not wanting to upset Bella. No amount of mood control is going to make Irina feel better if she was really as attached to Laurent as Tanya says. My abilities aren't powerful enough to have any noticeable effect when the emotions are that strong. He tried to hide it, but he couldn't help but think of the time right after I had fled Forks, leaving Bella behind. He had tried to console me, make me feel more at peace with my decision, but it was as if his powers were blocked by the intensity for which I longed for her. "I wish there was something I could do, believe me," he said, glancing toward the door. Alice was downstairs, singing to herself as she continued the party setup. He paused to listen for a moment, and I heard true fear in his mind. I looked to Bella, who was watching him with sadness in her eyes. Even without hearing his thoughts, she understood what he was thinking. Any one of us could falter and lose everything in an instant. When Jasper and I could think of no other choices than to fight alone, I turned to Carlyle. He was admittedly more positive than Jasper had been, though he too was frantically searching for options we might have missed. We discussed our plan of attack, and I wished Jasper had come downstairs with us, to keep Bella's fear from escalating. She was listening quietly, and I tried not to see the panic in her face. Her expression grew calculating as we continued. She was working out strategies the way we were. I hoped she still wasn't expecting a quick change in order to come fight beside us. I thought we had made that clear that adding another newborn to the mix wouldn't solve anything. Living in an endless existence, the concept of time had nearly lost its meaning, which was why I was surprised to find myself pacing, waiting for our guest to arrive. I suppose I was simply anxious for some excuse to forget about newborns and strategies, and Bella being in danger yet again because of me. I actually breathed a sigh of relief when the first car pulled up, though my peaceful moment didn't last long. I listened to Mike's first appraisal of our home. Though not the most intuitive person at times, he seemed too observant for my liking. "A mansion in the middle of the forest? Weird, even for the Cullens." He met my eyes for a split second before turning away nervously. "Always figured they were freaks, but what are they hiding out here?" Bella played her part better than I could have imagined, and while I was miserable at the thought of her only pretending to enjoy her graduation night, a part of me couldn't help but feel proud of her. She welcomed in all of her friends, smiling and attempting to make them feel comfortable, as they all took in the house. One by one, people stepped through the door, wide-eyed and curious, and I listened with amusement at the different reactions. Thankfully, Mike was the only one who associated the large mansion with something to hide, though several of Bella's classmates did wonder how a family with such an obvious sum of money ended up in a place like Forks. "Not sure why Dr. Cullen didn't just homeschool them all. Not like they get along with anyone anyway."
"Some place to call a home away from home. No wonder Bella puts up with Edward's crazy."
"Must be worth more than the whole town put together. Wow. Just wow." Although I couldn't bring myself to leave Bella's side, I tried my best to stay in the background. I let her lead the conversations. After all, for many of her friends, this would likely be her only goodbye. Occasionally, Mike or Tyler or some other insipid boy would let their mind wander to the what-ifs of post-graduation life. "Are they going to college together? Maybe the fascination will wear off, and she'll come to her senses." "Can't last forever. I mean, look at him cling to her. That's got to get old eventually, right?" I felt my grip around Bella's waist tighten instinctively, and I was thrilled when I felt her sink further into my arms. I was counting on this lasting forever, and I hoped that when forever became more than just a concept to her, she would still be happy to have my arms around her forever. I was just settling into the pace of the evening, Bella making small talk with her friends, circulating as if she were born to be the hostess and the center of attention. She almost had me convinced that there was nothing else going on in our lives besides this party. For a moment, there was no one after us. This wasn't Bella's farewell to her human life. We were just a couple in love, celebrating the end of one chapter and the beginning of the next. Then, everything froze. The vision Alice had was so clear, I could see it as if it were my own. As soon as I saw the horde of newborns heading toward Forks, I felt my fist begin to clench. Afraid I would hurt Bella, I forced myself to loosen my grip on her. One at the front of the line was holding Bella's shirt, a sadistic and very determined look in her blood-red eyes.
"Edward,"
Alice thought, my name a whisper even in her mind. She was scared, truly frightened for the first time since this whole mess had started. Jasper was beside her now, trying to calm her down, but all she could feel was the Army's collective energy, their driving ambition to reach the human they all knew they were created to destroy. She watched as they ran toward Forks, the place we had called home for so many years, filled with people we cared about, Bella's friends and family, who had all become casualties, victims, pawns in the way and easily knocked down as the battle began. "Stay here," I whispered to Bella, trying to hide the fear in my voice. "I'll be right back." I could hear her start after me, but there were friends all around, and I'm sure she didn't want them to think anything was wrong. Her facade of normalcy might buy me enough time to talk to Alice without her there. It would be easier to get all the facts without having to worry about scaring Bella. Alice was standing just outside of the kitchen, her eyes wide with panic. Hopefully only I noticed. It took every ounce of restraint I had to walk to her at a normal pace, but I forced a smile onto my face as I walked casually in case anyone was looking.
"They're coming,"
she whispered, as soon as I was beside her. I tried to motion her into the kitchen so we could speak more privately, but she was frozen in place. "I know," I said softly, when she didn't move. I attempted to infuse some comfort into my tone.
"I couldn't tell how many,"
she said dismally, her eyes nearly blurred as she tried to count the numbers she had seen in her mind.
20, maybe more."
We knew what this was going to look like. This is what we've been waiting for you to see. There's no need to panic. Her eyes shot through the darkness.
"Who were you trying to convince? Me or yourself?"
"All right, I'm worried. Of course I am. I don't want them anywhere near Forks, or Bella, or anyone here for that matter. But it's a good thing that we've seen them coming. We can prepare and take action."
"Did you see what the dark-haired one in front was carrying?"
I had seen and recognized Bella's missing shirt all too well. If there had been any doubt in my mind that Bella's theory had been correct, that single flash of red had confirmed it all. "I saw it," I growled, then took a deep breath and reminded myself the importance of keeping calm. We already knew what they were coming for. Again, no surprises, just precisely what we've been waiting for. At that moment, Alice's eyes went blank again. She gasped, clutching the wall beside her, as she saw several of the vampires coming into town from the other side. It suggested a level of coordination and planning we hadn't thought them capable of. The newborns themselves couldn't be, but it meant their creator had thought through their plan of attack more than we had anticipated. "I'll go get Carlyle," I said, disappearing before my last bit of composure was gone. I was glad I had made a quick escape, because seconds later Bella was at Alice's side, demanding an explanation. Alice, still frozen and trying desperately to search her vision for anything that we might be able to use to our advantage, didn't say a word. She stared at me, and despite myself, I couldn't seem to break her gaze. Her eyes were pleading, silently asking for answers I didn't have. When Bella turned to look for me, I retreated back into the darkness. I knocked on the door of Carlyle's study, and he opened it immediately. "Edward, what's happening?" Jasper was just up here trying to escape from all the heightened emotions for a few minutes. Then his eyes widened and he disappeared. He felt Alice's fear, probably mine as well. "She saw something?" "They're coming." He inhaled sharply, a brief moment of panic flickering across his face before he returned to his usual calm, pragmatic way of thinking. Was she able to see who was responsible for creating the army? I don't think so. She did see that they were planning to surround the town, though. They want to come from both sides. So they're organized. It would appear so. Carlyle's expression was calculating as he thought through several options. The only one that guaranteed no human casualties, however, was meeting them before they entered town. I nodded in understanding before he said a word. The further away the better, I agreed. How many? He asked, unable to hide the sorrow he felt as he pictured destroying the newborns who hadn't wanted this life to begin with. Too many, I admitted. More than we want to face without help. 20, at least. Although it appears there were less by the time they reached town than there were when they were traveling. How is that possible? They're destructive, Carlyle. It's very possible that they're killing each other along the way. Either that, or whoever created them is thinning out the herd, so to speak. It's a sick kind of combat strategy. If one of them isn't proving to be useful, or is threatening the success of the mission, they're disposed of. It wouldn't be the first time we've heard of it happening. I hated to be so blunt, knowing how it pained him, but we all needed to be realistic about what we were up against. These were creatures whose only purpose was to kill. If their creator killed without mercy, they would know nothing else, and they would show no mercy. Both in agreement that the fight had to be as far away from Forks as possible, we both fell silent, trying to think of a location that would give us the greatest advantage. We knew the forest well, and there were several places that offered a fair amount of camouflage, but if the newborns were on course for Forks, how could we steer them off of that path? Even if we choose the ideal location for the battle, how could we assure their arrival there?
"The wolves are here,"
Alice muttered, throwing the door open angrily and bringing us both back to the present. She was scowling as she stepped into the room.
"Can someone please go and get them outside before they make the entire house smell like dog?"
Why are they here? I asked, unable to hide my irritation. A visit from Jacob was the last thing I needed right now.
"I don't know. Bella invited them, I guess. Well, Jacob at least, though I didn't think she'd really want anything to do with him after that stunt he pulled."
When has Bella's wishes ever stopped Jacob from doing what he wanted?
"I still don't understand why he's here. He didn't go to Forks High. He doesn't know anyone else but us, and he hates us. The last time he saw Bella, she punched him in the face. The kid really doesn't know when to give up, does he?"
As much as I enjoyed listening to other people complain about Jacob, I was only half listening to Alice. My attention was focused on the conversation downstairs between Bella and the mongrel. He was pressing her for information, and I had a feeling he was about to cross the line. "Now, explain," he snapped. That was all it took. I raced out the door and down the stairs.
"Jacob, I don't know anything,"
she said nervously, her eyes looking around her, looking for me.
"Is that wise?"
Alice asked, stopping me before I raced into the crowd. "Do I care?"
"I don't really care what you do, but everyone keeps telling me we're supposed to be acting normal. You flying across the room in a blur and decapitating a werewolf in front of Bella's friends is probably not considered normal."
He raised his voice to her, Alice.
"I know, but there are people around. What exactly are you planning on doing?"
A medley of things I'd like to do played through my mind, but of course she was right. There was nothing I could do. Nothing really I should even say, with so many of Bella's friends nearby. They were suspicious enough as it was.
"Go back to Carlisle. Keep working on a strategy. We need to figure out our plan of action quickly. Jasper and I will take care of Bella."
I had been so focused on Bella, I hadn't even noticed Jasper was right beside me. "I'll mellow them out," he thought with a smirk, "whether they like it or not." Reluctantly, I retreated up the stairs, just as Bella spotted Alice.
"Alice,"
she breathed.
"I don't like the way those filthy dogs are watching her,"
she thought, seething.
"This is our house. Bella is part of our family. What right do they think they have even to be here?"
For my own sanity, I tried to ignore Alice's assessment of the pack and returned to Carlyle's study. "Now what's happening?" he asked, confused by my quick escape. Jacob was pressing Bella for information. I didn't like it. "But you didn't stop him?" Alice didn't think it would be wise for me to step in quite yet. He nodded. "Why are they here? I thought Jacob and Bella weren't on the best of terms." Technically, Jacob was invited. The fact that she no longer wants him here is something he seems to be ignoring rather stubbornly. As for the others, I think they are friends of Bella's from back when she was spending a lot of time in La Push. They probably thought it would be interesting to be in vampire territory, when there really wasn't anything we could do to stop them. They know we would never make a scene. Carlyle closed his eyes, and we both paused to listen for a moment.
Hey, this is a party, remember?
Bella was saying. She was trying to be playful, but there was a definite edge to her voice. Always the peacekeeper, Carlyle remarked, smiling. There was a swell of pride and affection in his voice. She never ceases to amaze me. You've chosen your mate well, Edward. Thank you. I only hope she feels she's chosen well when she realizes what kind of life she's bound herself to. I think she understands better than you give her credit for. We've all been very upfront with her about what life will be like. I believe she's ready. He paused, and I could tell he was struggling to keep his thoughts hidden. Carlyle? I hedged. There's something I've been thinking about, given our current circumstances. I know you won't like it, and probably won't agree to it, but I would be remiss if I didn't at least ask. Now that we know the newborns are on their way, and we know with certainty that they are coming for Bella, I'd like you to consider— I didn't need to hear his thoughts to know what he was suggesting. No, I said firmly. I don't mean for her to fight alongside of us. No. Only that if she were changed, she wouldn't be in nearly as much danger. No, I've already sworn to protect her. I will not have Bella making this choice because she's frightened. She's already made her choice. It's out of the question. Edward. Carlyle knew me well. He knew when I was putting up walls, when I was stubbornly clinging to Bella's humanity, even when she had cast it aside. He paused until he was certain he had my full attention again. I need you to think of the family for a moment, and remember, Bella's already made her choice. The only thing that would change is the timing. I want you to consider that whoever is responsible for this army, whoever is coming after Bella, is coming after a fragile, easily destroyed human. If that were no longer the case, there is a very real chance we could stop this fight from even happening. Do you still think it's a member of the Volturi? I don't know. If it is, then certainly Bella being changed would end the conflict. Even if it's not one of them, I think we can still safely assume that her not being human anymore would change things. You're asking her to sacrifice. No, he said, taking his own turn to interrupt. I'm asking nothing more from her than what she's already explicitly made clear she wants. I shut my eyes tightly, trying to calm the flare of frustration and anxiety. I was also trying to silence the little voice inside my head, telling me that Carlyle was right. Why is this so difficult for you? I thought you had already accepted her change as inevitable. It's not that, I said, not realizing what I was admitting until it was too late. You're still counting on her accepting your proposal and changing her yourself. It wasn't a question, and I couldn't have denied it if it was. You could still be the one to change her. Carlyle, I know this isn't what you wanted, but things have changed. There's more to consider now, more of us involved than just the two of you. Wait, I said, suddenly racing out the door, leaving Carlyle baffled and alone yet again.
Everything just disappeared, of course, Alice was saying. That's inconvenient, but all considered, I'll take it.
We'll have to coordinate, Jacob told her. It won't be easy for us. Still, this is our job more than it is yours. Amazing, I whispered as Carlyle stepped up beside me. What is it? It's the wolves. They want to help. Carlyle's eyes widened in understanding. They want to fight with us? It would appear so. In all my years, I never could have imagined. Both of us stunned into silence. We listened as Alice and Jacob had the first civil conversation either one of us had ever heard. Bella, on the other hand, was less than thrilled.
You are staying out of this, she shrieked. Alice, tell them no. They'll get killed.
The wolves laughed. Well, that's impolite, Carlyle muttered. I'm afraid you'll have to get used to that. I have to admit, though, the wolves' lack of tact and understanding in social conversations is a small price to pay. I can't believe they're willing to fight beside their enemies. Desperate times often bring out the best in even the most unruly creatures. Their land and their people would be threatened as well, should we be unsuccessful in stopping this army. They'll fight with their enemies to conquer an even bigger threat. "No!" Bella shouted, nearly in tears. Several heads turned toward her, noticing her distress for the first time. "Go to her, Edward. She's no longer aware of her surroundings. Remind her that until the last guest leaves, we have to keep up appearances." I headed downstairs, forcing myself to keep a human pace, and fixed a smile on my face. "Well, look who decided to join the party," Jacob thought, glowering at me. "Ready for the fight, bloodsucker? I can't believe you were going to leave us out. This is our one chance to finally treat at least some vampires the way they're supposed to be treated." Doing my best to keep a smile on my face, I wrapped my arms around Bella's waist and kissed the top of her head gently. I had to remember that, as difficult as it might be joining forces with Jacob, we were both fighting to protect Bella. If it meant she was safe, and could remain human until she was completely ready, I could endure anything.